Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine stumbling upon something that just feels totally out of place.
Yeah, like it just landed there from somewhere else.
Exactly. Something that doesn't just look strange, but starts acting strange too. Like defying physics, baffling the experts who try to figure it out.
And what's fascinating here, I think, is how certain discoveries really force us to question what we think we know about the world. They suggest possibilities that, well, they push the boundaries of our current understanding.
Totally. And that's pretty much the kind of situation a family in Florida found themselves in way back in 1974.
Hmm.
They found this mysterious sphere, and according to the source material we're diving into today, that find kicked off a whole series of events that honestly remain unexplained even decades later.
So we're doing a deep dive into the case of the Betz mystery sphere. And we're basing this on a source that chronicles this specific incident, but also, interestingly, connects it to other similar phenomena.
Right, things found around the world, even referenced in history. So our mission today is to pull out the most compelling details from this source. How they found this object, the truly bizarre things that happened after it was brought home.
And what the official examinations, including one by the United States Navy, actually determined about it.
Or maybe more tellingly, what they couldn't determine.
Let's set the scene. We're talking May 26, 1974, Fort George Island, Florida.
Right. There'd been a pretty big brush fire,
Yeah.
and this 21-year-old pre-med student, Terry Matthew Betts, he was out with his parents just checking the damage on their property.
And as they're walking across this, scorched landscape, they find something completely out of place in the ashes.
What did it look like?
Our source describes it as a metal ball, just under 8 inches across. But what's really striking is its condition.
How so?
Well, despite being found right there in a fire-damaged area, it was apparently remarkably well polished, shiny.
Yeah, the description in the material really makes a point of its perfection. Like, no obvious blemishes, no seams, nothing to suggest how it was made or where it came from.
Well, almost nothing. There was one detail,
Oh,
a
yeah.
small, kind of strange triangular stamp, just embedded right into the metal.
Huh, a triangle. Any idea what it meant?
Nope, just that it was there. Initially, the family sort of wondered if it was space debris, maybe, a piece of Sputnik or something.
Which tells you how alien it must have seemed right off the bat.
Definitely.
Mhm.
But the source clarifies pretty quickly that, nah, that initial guess was later dismissed.
So, okay. They find this perfect, shiny, mystery metal ball in the middle of a burned out field. What do you even do with that?
Well, you take it home, apparently.
Of course you do.
The family brought it back, and at first didn't really think much more about it.
Yeah.
Just sort of sat in their living room, a strange souvenir from the fire.
Just another Tuesday, except the story doesn't end there, does it?
Not even close.
Okay.
According to the source, about 2 weeks later, things went from, strange find, to, okay, this is genuinely baffling. This is when the documented phenomena began, yeah. The material says Terry was playing his guitar nearby,
Yeah.
and the ball started reacting to the music.
Reacting. How does a metal ball react to music?
So the source describes it emitting this strange throbbing sound and a distinct vibration.
A vibration, like you could feel it.
Apparently so. Significant enough that it really deeply unsettled the family's dog. The poor thing just ran and hid.
Wow. Okay, a throbbing, vibrating ball that responds to music.
Yeah.
That's weird enough. But the source says it got even stranger.
Oh, absolutely. The Betts family started noticing other things, like the ball would seemingly move on its own.
Move how?
Just roll across the floor or maybe across a table.
Yeah.
By itself.
And it would always return to where it started. That's a specific detail.
Yeah, the source notes it would eventually roll back to its original position and just stop. And here's where it gets even weirder, according to the source.
Go on.
The family became convinced that its strange powers, these movements, they became more noticeable on bright, sunny days.
Wait, like it was drawing energy from the sun?
That was their theory, or at least their strong impression, suggesting it somehow, recharged in the sun.
Okay, drawing power from the sun, moving on its own. That's a huge leap from just being a weird metal object.
It really is. And it's no wonder the source says the family started thinking something was controlling it, or maybe it even had a life of its own.
Did it do anything else?
Well, they also reported it occasionally made this low-frequency rattling, or a vibration almost like a motor was running inside.
A motor inside a solid metal sphere. Did they see how?
No visible mechanism, nothing like that. The source just reports what the family observed, But it also details how it seemed to interact with its surroundings. Like, it seemed to avoid falling.
Avoid falling like it sensed the edge of a table or something.
Precisely. The source even includes this really striking anecdote about it basically defying gravity.
Defying gravity. How?
It claims the ball managed to climb up a slanted table to avoid rolling off the edge.
Climb up. A metal ball against gravity.
That's the claim reported in the source.
Okay, how? Did it roll smoothly or jitter, or does the source say?
It doesn't really offer a detailed mechanism, no. Just the observation that it moved against the incline to avoid a fall. And that specific detail, that's one of the things that makes this case so incredibly strange. It just challenges, basic physics.
Yeah, you can see why this wouldn't stay a private family secret for long.
Definitely not.
With reported behaviors like vibrating to music, moving by itself, maybe drawing power from the sun, avoiding falls, climbing slopes, it's no surprise the media got wind of it.
Oh yeah, it turned into a news frenzy. Papers from all over, the London Daily, the New York Times, they sent reporters down there.
And did the sphere perform for them?
The material states that yes, the sphere repeated some of its strange tricks for these outside witnesses.
So it wasn't just the family saying this happened. There were other people who saw it.
Seems so. And all that attention inevitably attracted official interest.
Who got involved?
It was eventually handed over to the United States Navy for examination.
Okay, the Navy. What did they find? Did they crack the case?
Well, they confirmed it was made of a very high-grade stainless steel. But what's particularly interesting, according to the source, is what the X-rays showed.
What was that?
There were apparently 3 or 4 smaller spheres inside the main one.
Wait, inside? Inside a seemingly solid steel ball. How is that even possible? Especially if it's high-grade steel with no visible seams. Did the Navy explain that?
Well, that's the thing. The source states the Navy concluded they could not determine what made the ball behave the way it did without cutting into it. Their examination was basically inconclusive regarding all the weird phenomena.
Which raises a big question the source brings up, right? Did the Navy genuinely not know, or were they maybe unable or unwilling to say what they really found?
Exactly. And the Betts family, they didn't want to cut open.
Can't blame them.
No. So the Navy declined to cut it, and the ball was returned to the family's home.
And according to the source, that's when things really started getting strange. Like, it escalated.
Correct. The material describes the mystery object taking a turn, exhibiting what the source calls poltergeist-like behavior.
Poltergeist-like? Whoa. So we're talking, what, unexplained noises? Disturbances?
Exactly that. The family started reporting hearing doors slamming shut at night by themselves, or strange music just sort of filling the house out of nowhere.
Wow. So it went from this curious object with weird physical properties to something potentially causing, like, auditory hallucinations or actual physical disturbances.
That's how the source presents the progression of events.
Does the source definitively link those new things to the sphere, or did they just happen after it came back from the Navy?
That's a good question. The source presents these events as part of the escalating strangeness after the sphere's return. It strongly implies a connection, at least from the family's point of view. But it doesn't offer a mechanism. How could a metal ball make doors slam or music play?
Right, that ambiguity is sort of central to the whole mystery the source is highlighting.
Yeah.
And the source suggests this fear is still with the Betts family, even today.
That's what the material indicates, yeah. And the mystery obviously persists, which has led to all sorts of theories over the years.
What are the main explanations the source talks about?
Well, one prominent theory, maybe the most exciting one, is that it was some kind of alien technology.
Like a probe or a drone?
Yeah, something like that. Fallen from space, possessing some kind of intelligent capability. I mean, the reported self-preservation, the response to music, the unexplained movement, it all lends itself to that kind of interpretation. And the source notes a lot of people lean towards that.
Okay, the alien artifact theory definitely fits the narrative of the strange behaviors, but the source also brings up a much more, let's say, down-to-earth possibility.
It does. Another theory mentioned is that it was simply a piece of artwork.
Artwork.
Yeah, supposedly lost about 3 years earlier by a local artist, someone who was known to work with stainless steel spheres.
That would explain the polished look, the high-grade steel, maybe even the lack of seams if it was well made. But how does that explain the vibrating, the rolling, the sun powering and climbing up tables, and the alleged poltergeist stuff?
And that's exactly where the source frames the insight, right? It highlights that most of the reported phenomena, all those strange powers the balls seem to have, they remain completely unexplained by the lost sculpture theory.
So even if there's a plausible, ordinary explanation for the object itself,
Right, even then, the documented weirdness makes that simple explanation hard to swallow without leaving huge questions unanswered. That's a core insight here.
and the source suggests that this difficulty, this inability to explain everything neatly, is why some people view the artwork theory with suspicion, like maybe it's too convenient.
Yes, the unexplained nature of it all, combined with the Navy's, let's say, inconclusive public findings, it's led many to wonder if the artwork story was maybe a cover-up.
A cover-up for what? That they found something genuinely anomalous?
Potentially. Something that even the Navy couldn't figure out, or perhaps wasn't allowed to talk about. The insight the source gives us is that the failure of simple explanations to account for all the reported details is really a key part of why this mystery endures.
That struggle to explain the Bet sphere is fascinating on its own, but what makes this even more compelling, as the source points out, is that this might not be a one-off thing.
Exactly. If we zoom out a bit, look at the bigger picture the source presents. It notes that the Bet sphere is just one example. There are apparently many strange orbs and spheres found throughout history all over the globe.
Found everywhere, made of different materials.
That's right. Throughout the years, various locations. Some are metallic, yeah, like the Bet sphere. Others are made of stone or rock, even concrete sometimes.
Does the source give any other specific examples?
It does mention the giant spheres discovered in a forest in Bosnia.
Giant spheres, how big?
Pretty big. Described as having a radius between 4 and 5 feet, and apparently possessing an extremely high iron content.
Wow, okay. 4 to 5 foot radius spheres made of iron found in a forest. That's
Yeah.
also unexplained, I take it.
Very much so. So there seems to be this pattern, almost, of inexplicable spheres turning up. Different places, different materials.
And the source connects these modern finds to historical stuff too, right? Not just physical objects found now.
Yeah, this is another really fascinating layer the source adds. It brings up art history, specifically a 16th century Italian altar painting. It's called Glorification of the Eucharist, painted by Ventura Cellini.
Okay. What could possibly be weird about a 16th century religious painting in this context? Sounds pretty standard.
Well, the source points out that in the painting, the figures are holding this object, an object that numerous observers have noted looks uncannily like a modern space satellite.
A space satellite in a painting from the 1500s. Seriously.
That's the observation. The object in the painting is described in the source as having this large, metallic, shiny finish,
Oh.
complete with what really look like telescopic antennas, and even strange lights on it.
Mm.
The source specifically notes its resemblance to the Soviet Sputnik satellite.
Which wouldn't exist for another, what, 400 years?
Exactly.
Okay, that specific historical reference the source provides, that's pretty striking. You've got a potential depiction of advanced tech centuries before it existed, and then you have these modern discoveries of physical objects that seem to defy current tech or explanation.
Yeah, what stands out to you from all this, I think, has to be that recurring theme. These inexplicable spherical objects, they just keep appearing across different times, different places. The Bet sphere story, with all its bizarre details, it serves as this really specific, well-documented case study.
But it's part of a much broader ongoing pattern that the source is highlighting.
Precisely.
So if we pull all these threads together, that sphere, the Bosnian spheres, the painting, what does this accumulation of stories really mean, according to the source material? Why is a case like the Bet sphere and these others, why are they so compelling to us?
Well, the insight isn't necessarily one single answer, right? It's more about the challenge these things pose. They present objects or depictions of objects that just don't fit neatly into our nice established understanding of physics or materials, science, archaeology, history, you name it.
They keep popping up in different contexts, found physically, shown historically, which suggests maybe it isn't just random noise, it could be a signal of something we haven't quite figured out yet.
Yeah, it pushes us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Pushes us to consider explanations outside our usual boxes.
It definitely does, whether it's a strange metal ball vibrating to a guitar and climbing a table in Florida,
Or giant stone spheres turning up in Bosnia.
or what looks for all the world like a satellite in a 16th century painting.
The source material basically asks us to confront the reality that unexplained phenomena involving these sphere-like forms have surfaced again and again throughout human history as we've recorded it.
So, based on the source material we've gone through, you're kind of left with this thought, aren't you? Could these seemingly isolated, really strange discoveries, like the Bet sphere, could they actually be connected? pieces of a much larger puzzle, maybe a global or historical phenomenon we just don't understand yet.
It's a compelling thought.
It certainly makes you wonder what else might be out there, just waiting to be found.